Every story starts somewhere, and for Satu, it began on a day like any other, until it wasn't. 10 years ago, while playing near the woods, he stumbled upon something straight out of a fantasy novel. A mysterious girl named Hime and her equally enigmatic grandfather, who seemed to materialize out of thin air. She pleaded with him to keep their arrival a secret, and bound by a strange sense of duty, or maybe just her big, pleading eyes, he agreed. Little did he know, he was signing up for a decade-long crush that would eventually mess with his concept of reality. Fast forward 10 years, and Satu and Hime are inseparable. Oh, and by inseparable, I mean this guy is head over heels. The kind of crushing where every little thing she does feels like a scene out of a romantic comedy.
両親はいないらしく、祖父と二人暮らしをしているわけだが。
Everyone around him notices, but Satu keeps holding back, playing emotional chess while Haime's playing checkers. Finally, fate throws him a bone. Hime invites him to a summer festival. Fireworks, glowing lanterns, and that perfect "you only get this once" vibe. Heart racing faster than Usain Bolt, Satu decides to confess his love to Hime. He's about to pour his heart out when, boom, Hime drops a plot twist. "I'm moving away." Yep, zero buildup, zero warning, just emotional whiplash. Satu is crushed, and honestly, who wouldn't be? The guy didn't even get to finish his sentence. But Satu isn't giving up that easily. He walks her home, desperate to confess before she vanishes into the ether. Yet, Hime shuts him down so hard, it's like she activated some kind of emotional force field. Poor Satu. You can't help but feel bad for the guy. And yet, fate isn't done throwing curveballs. Later that night, Satu spots Hime at a glowing portal. That's right, a portal. Not a moving truck, not a farewell hug, but a swirling gateway to another realm. Any rational person might take a step back, but Satu, nope, he doesn't hesitate. He jumps in after her, love-struck and logic-free, because apparently thinking things through isn't on his resume. On the other side, things are not great. Satu lands smack dab in the middle of a fantasy world where Haime's about to marry an actual prince. Oh, and she didn't mention this part, did she? Satu's standing there like, wait, did I just become the side character in my own love story? Before he can even process this royal mess, an abyssal monster crashes the wedding. So Satu's basically stuck in shock mode, brain halfway to mush. And Hime? Well, she flips the script, pulls Satu forward, casually plants a kiss on him, because hey, why not melt his brain before dropping the real bombshell? And then slaps a magical ring on his finger. Congratulations, Satu, you're married now. No vows, no awkward speeches, not even a cupcake to celebrate. Just, you're my husband, now go fight that thing. His brain? Absolutely deep fried. But somehow, the ring supercharges him with enough power to smack the monster into oblivion before he does what any reasonable person would, passes out cold. Honestly, if this isn't the wildest wedding reception ever, I don't know what is. When he wakes up, Hime is beside him, ready to drop some world-shattering exposition. Satu is now the Ring King, destined to battle the abyss and save this realm. Satu, surprisingly chill for someone who just got married and handed a heroic destiny, nods along because honestly, what's he gonna do? Ask for a refund? Meanwhile, the rest of the crew, including Hime's grandpa, now conveniently a great sage, and the prince Hime was supposed to marry, are all awkwardly huddled together, discussing Satu. The prince, ever the pragmatist, flatly states that the ring picks its owner, so if it picked Satu, well, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Later, Hime's grandpa drags Satu into the spotlight and has him introduce himself to the people as the new Ring King. In a surprising twist, Satu, without skipping a beat, takes the stage like a pro, and with the kind of enthusiasm you'd expect from someone who just inherited a mystical artifact, declares that he's here to save the day. Because of course he is. Later, in the steamy sauna, reality smacks Satu in the face like a cold shower. He sits there, sweating bullets, thinking, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Just as he's having an existential crisis, the door swings open, and in walks Hime, completely naked. There's a moment of complete silence as Satu tries not to react too obviously, but the steam only makes things worse. like his mind's clouded with both the heat and the heat of the moment. Hime, completely unbothered, slips into the water next to him and apologizes for the mess she's dragged him into. Satu, doing his best to stay composed, assures her that he's more than willing to stick around and protect her. His mind, however, is still struggling to keep up with the current situation. But the honeymoon phase doesn't last long. Scratch that, there's no honeymoon phase. In fact, it's more like the oh hell no phase as a swarm of abyssal creatures crash the royal palace. And who's got the lovely task of fighting them? That's right, our newly minted Ring King Satu. But Hime insists Satu's not cut out for monster slaying. Enter Grandpa, the voice of grim wisdom, who casually drops the bomb that as the Ring King, Satu is now contractually obligated to slay anything that threatens the realm. Hero duty baby, Satu, now channeling his inner action hero, promises Hime he'll protect her. Grandpa, looking like he's got a secret stash of plot armor, reveals the Ring of Light isn't just for show. Oh no, it grants enough power to repel evil, boosts strength, and wait for it, turns any weapon into the ultimate tool for destruction. Satu, now with a shiny new heroic mentality, is ready to face the monsters head on. But just as he's about to leap into battle, Hime surprises him with a kiss on the lips. So yeah, looks like the monsters will have to wait while Satu's distracted by a kiss that might just be the most dangerous thing to happen today. With his brain short-circuited but his determination intact, sort of, Satu charges into battle alongside Haime's grandfather, Alabaster, to fend off the nightmare horde. Things seem manageable until a knight from the realm of the Abyssal King crashes the party, exuding main villain energy and power levels that scream final boss. Naturally, Alabaster doesn't hesitate to yell, "Run for your life!" when Satu tries to play hero and gets absolutely wrecked in the process. As they retreat, Prince Marse swoops in to bring Hime from the palace, and the four of them pile onto a cart, making a less than glamorous escape. While on the road, Alabaster casually drops a plot bomb. Satu needs to marry 4 more elemental princesses. Cue Satu's internal meltdown because, let's be honest, all he wants is to be a loyal husband to Hime, not to collect wives like he's completing a magical Pokemon roster. But alas, duty calls and Satu has no choice but to go along with this unhinged plan. Their journey to Romka, the nation of the Ring of Winds, is interrupted by a pit stop to rest. While there, Hime wrestles with guilt, feeling bad about dragging Satu into this multi-dimensional mess. But Satu, nursing his battle wounds, goes full rom-com protagonist and confesses his love. Insisting he's doing all of this of his own free will. The two share a quiet moment, because even in the middle of monster-filled chaos, newlyweds deserve a little heart-to-heart. After a brief recovery, the group makes it to Romka to meet the elf princess, their next target for Satu's rapidly growing marriage portfolio. However, the elf princess takes one look at the kiss and marry deal and nopes out of there faster than you can say cold feet, leaving Satu and company to wonder if this mission is going to be even more complicated than they thought. The chaos from the last episode seamlessly transitions into more drama as Satu finds himself in Romka, the elf settlement, with one mission: marry Nephritis, the princess of the Ring of Wind. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. Nephritis, who bolted faster than a cat avoiding bathwater in the previous episode, now has her older brother, Jade Romka, throwing an even bigger wrench into the plans by imprisoning Satu. Because nothing says, "Welcome to the family," like locking up your future brother-in-law. 2 days later, Satu is freed from his dungeon stay by an elder who seems to have a talent for showing up exactly when the plot demands it. She whisks him away to the Wind Temple, where they've been keeping the legendary Ring of Wind, conveniently worn by a statue like it's part of some ancient fashion show. As the elder starts explaining the ring's significance, because every fantasy adventure needs a bit of exposition, their conversation is abruptly cut short by none other than Nephritis herself. The two immediately dive behind a pillar, embarking on an impromptu game of hide-and-seek they never signed up for. Nephritis, completely oblivious, begins talking and praying to the statues, which, as it turns out, are of her parents. It's a deeply emotional moment, or at least it was, until Satu, ever the poster child for bad timing, decides it's a great idea to whisper. No, loudly whisper, something snarky. The sound bounces off the walls like a megaphone, and Nephritis whirls around faster than you can say busted. Her gaze lands on Satu, and in true dramatic fashion, she short-circuits, gasps, and faints like a swoon swooning heroine in a bad romance novel. The elder facepalms so hard you'd think she's trying to become one with the pillar, while Satu just stands there, equal parts guilty and confused, wondering if fainting on sight is going to be a recurring theme with every woman he meets. Before anyone could come and witness what happened, Satu carries the unconscious princess to a room. Satu stays with Nephritis as she gains consciousness. During their time together, we learn Nephritis has a soft spot for the outside world. She's curious, sure, but not enough to actually explore it. You know, because responsibility and fear of the unknown are way more comforting than freedom. Just as things start to feel like they're heading in the right direction, Jade bursts in like an overprotective older brother in full "no one's marrying my sister" mode. He pulls the ultimate guilt trip, reminding Nephritis of how their parents sacrificed everything to protect the kingdom. Nephritis, caught between her brother's epic guilt speech and her own dreams, reluctantly decides to stay on Team Jade. Meanwhile, the elder works her persuasion sorcery on him, promising she'll take care of Satu, because nothing screams "trust me" like a plan devised by someone who thinks trapping people is the key to world peace. And just when Satu thought his day couldn't get any worse, Hime pops in with a look that's equal parts casual jealousy and "don't you dare forget who's number one." The elder, ever the storyteller, takes this moment to dive into Nephritis' tragic backstory. Apparently, Nephritis' parents heroically sacrificed themselves for the kingdom, leaving behind not just a legacy, but also a terrified daughter who clings to her comfort zone like it's a lifeboat. To top it all off, a solemn promise to her parents to never leave the country. The chaos picks up with Alabaster delivering a dire warning. Satu, Crystal, and the prince need to leave the elven town ASAP to gather the remaining rings before time runs out. Once they've collected the other rings, he suggests they circle back to claim the one belonging to Nephritis. But, because nothing can ever go smoothly, the Abyss King's knight smashes through the Romka barrier before they can even step outside. The Abyss King's knight, not content with just breaking barriers, storms the Wind Temple to snag the Wind Ring. Jade steps up like the overconfident older brother he is, ready to defend the temple. But his heroic moment is cut short when the knight swats him down with a single attack, like flicking away an annoying fly. Just as it's looking like a total disaster, Satu and the rest of the crew make their grand entrance, perfectly timed to save the day, or at least try to. Satu and Alabaster spring into action, with Jade gathering his courage to fight alongside them, despite having just been knocked flat. Meanwhile, Crystal makes her way to Nephritis to deliver the bad news about the escalating situation. Instead of rallying for the battle, Nephritis sinks into a spiral of self-doubt, questioning whether she's enough for Satu. Thankfully, Crystal, absolute queen that she is, hits her with some hard truths like, "Girl, if you don't marry Satu, he's going to die playing knight in shining armor for you." Way to guilt trip someone into romance. And surprisingly, that worked. Back at the fight, Crystal and Nephritis step up in a surprising twist, smashing the stone statue tied to the knight's power. Taking things into her own hands, Nephritis seals her alliance with Satu by kissing him and offering her ring. The power boost is enough for Satu to obliterate the Abyss King's knight in spectacular fashion. But of course, in true Satu fashion, he faceplants after the fight. Like, seriously, does this guy have a must-pass out after victory clause in his hero contract? When he wakes up, he's hit with the chilling revelation that the knight was actually the old ring princess who was being controlled by the Black Ring of Wind. But now, with the knight defeated, the ring princess's body and consciousness are restored through Satu's victory. Later, the princess seeks out Alabaster to uncover the truth about the mysterious traveler she once loved 50 years ago. Alabaster, never one to just say things outright, whips out a pendant like it's show and tell. The princess instantly recognizes it. It's the same gift she gave her lover all those years ago. Alabaster assures her that the traveler is now living peacefully elsewhere. "Sure, buddy, real convincing." And then, the light bulb goes off. The princess pieces together the truth. Alabaster himself is the wanderer who once captured her heart. With this awkward revelation hanging in the air, the group, Alabaster, Nephritis, Satu, and Crystal, leaves the elven town, moving toward their next destination with a mix of lingering romantic tension and an excitement to collect the rest of the rings. Hime dreams of Satu and Nephritis together, a scene so sweet it feels like salt in an open wound. She wakes up feeling restless, only to discover that Satu has been spending more time with Nephritis than with her.
最近の佐藤、ネフリティスにつきっきりだったような。
leaving her simmering with jealousy. As she tries to brush off her irritation, the group's next big quest starts off with Satu, Crystal, Nephritis, Alabaster, and their merry band heading toward the kingdom of dragonfolk, the mystical land of water. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, plot twist. Out of nowhere, an entire moving nation appears because apparently nothing screams epic detour quite like a whole town casually going for a stroll. Upon seeing this, Alabaster casually reveals it's the land of fire, Nidaquita, a roaming nation of wandering knights and cat people. Yes, cat people. No, they don't explain why. Naturally, he scraps their original itinerary faster than you can say dragonfolk and declares they're grabbing the Ring of Fire first. She's ready to seal the deal right there and then. Satu, however, shuts her down with a polite but firm, "Sorry, how practical." And the gang climbs into Nidaquita, only to find themselves smack dab in the middle of a floating market packed with knights and, you guessed it, cat people. Things take a chaotic turn when Crystal and Nephritis somehow get separated from the group, probably while gawking at feline merchants. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew learns about Granart Nidaquita, Princess of the Land of Fire, who apparently comes with the disclaimer, Satu must win her heart to get the ring. Because nothing builds romance like contractual obligation. As they track down Crystal and Nephritis, the group uncovers the princess's unusual courtship ritual. Satu has to beat her in combat to prove he's worthy. Easy enough, right? Wrong. Princess Granart effortlessly smokes every suitor in sight like she's playing on God mode. When Satu steps up, brimming with misplaced confidence, he gets knocked down faster than you can blink. It's the kind of defeat that makes even the background extras cringe. Later, Prince Mars decides to play the role of Satu's personal drill sergeant, helping him train. Spoiler alert, it becomes painfully obvious that Satu is going to need more than a crash course in sword swinging to stand a chance against the princess. After an intense morning of trying not to embarrass himself, the group sits down for lunch, where the conversation takes a hard turn into Satu. You need to level up fast if you ever want to marry the princess. Not exactly light lunch chatter. Thankfully, Hime steps in to sprinkle some emotional support on Satu's bruised ego. She reassures him that it's okay to be weak. Debatable, because he's got the power of the rings on his side. She drops some wisdom about how the strength of the rings comes from the strength of their bond, basically saying, "Don't worry, teamwork makes the dream work, babe." She even promises to do her best with him, which is honestly adorable. But before the moment can get any mushier, Alabaster crashes the party like an uninvited boss fight. He tells Satu to get his act together and prepare for some magic training. Guess there's no rest for a guy trying to become a princess-worthy hero. Later that day, Granart decides to check in on her new punching bag. She summons Satu for what can only be described as the world's most awkward massage therapy session. In true power move fashion, she flips the script, revealing she already knows he's the Ring King. Oh, and she totally wants to join forces. She even offers to throw their next fight on purpose so they can tie the knot and exchange rings. You'd think Satu would jump at the chance to avoid another public beatdown, but nope. He digs deep into his pride and vows to win fair and square, declaring that he's not interested in pity victories. Bold words for someone who just got body slammed by a princess. The next morning, Satu finds himself waking up in an awkwardly intimate position with Nephritis nestled between his legs. She, however, seems unbothered, acknowledging how hard he's been working to defeat Granart. With the grace and confidence of a ring princess, she reminds him of her duty to support the Ring King. Satu, slightly flustered but determined, promises to push himself even harder. Later, during training, Satu shows noticeable improvement. He's faster, sharper, and more focused, but it's still clear that defeating Granart is going to take more than just a good warm-up. With persistence as his weapon, he finally steps up to challenge Granart again, determined to prove he's ready. Meanwhile, an ominous turn of events unfolds. An armored man encounters the Black Ring, which immediately possesses him. The Abyss King's knight is born, and he wastes no time charging into the battlefield, targeting Satu. Satu narrowly dodges the attack, saved by Granart's timely intervention, but the Abyss Knight cranks up the chaos by summoning 3 massive Abyss monsters. The battlefield erupts into mayhem, prompting the cat people to join the fight, their agility and teamwork adding much-needed reinforcements. As the chaos escalates, Satu and Granart form a powerful alliance, their teamwork reaching its peak. Drawing on the strength of the rings, Satu unleashes their full power, completely obliterating the Abyss Knight in a spectacular display of strength, light, and sheer determination. Granart is so impressed by his moves that she's ready to slap on a ring and say "I do" right then and there. But Satu, being the overachiever he is, insists on beating her in a fair fight because nothing says romantic gesture like "let me beat you up first." And so he challenges her to another fight. Meanwhile, Nephritis spills the tea to Hime, telling her that Satu wants to look cool for her. Hime, in her usual no-filter style, decides to motivate him the only way she knows how, with the promise of adult activities. Armed with this rather unconventional inspiration, Satu faces off against Granart in a high-stakes battle. But just as he's about to charge in blindly, the rings start whispering to him, feeding him insider tips on Granart's every move before she can even make it. With his rings playing the role of an otherworldly coach, Satu dodges, counters, and fights like a man possessed, except in a cool, heroic way. Armed with these sweet strategic whispers, he finally manages to defeat Granart. Satu barely has a moment to catch his breath and process his victory when Granart leaps into his arms like it's the finale of a romance drama. Before he can even stammer out a response, she plants a kiss on him with the confidence of someone who knows they're unforgettable. As if that wasn't enough to short-circuit his brain, she smoothly slips the ring of fire onto his finger, leaving him stunned. But then, Granart flips the switch from warrior princess to thirsty fangirl, aggressively pursuing Satu like a cat chasing a laser pointer. She's ready to seal the deal right there and then. Satu, however, shuts her down with a polite but firm, "Sorry, but I've already promised Hime." Granart doesn't exactly take rejection gracefully, but hey, points for persistence. Later that night, Satu and Hime share a rare private moment. But just as things threaten to get a little spicy, Satu does what he does best. He passes out. Seriously, at this point, it's less heroic warrior and more narcoleptic champion. Somebody needs to check if all this fighting comes with a built-in nap clause. The next day, Granart makes a grand gesture, introducing Satu as the Ring King to everyone and publicly acknowledging his strength. It's a proud moment for him, but not without its drama. Granart's obvious admiration has someone cough Hime throwing side eyes so sharp they could cut through steel. Later, Satu and Hime share a private moment, and he reassures her with all the sincerity of a man trying to dodge jealousy-induced chaos. He promises that he's saving their special night for his world, leaving Hime blushing, slightly appeased, and possibly already plotting ways to keep Granart at a respectful distance. Of course, Granart isn't one to back off quietly. In the closing moments, she launches a full-on ambush to convince Satu once again. This time, Hime and Nephritis swoop in like superhero girlfriends, rescuing Satu from what we can only describe as an enthusiastic kidnapping attempt. The episode ends with Satu looking utterly exhausted, not from fighting monsters but from dodging Granart's relentless advances. Someone get this guy a nap and a therapist. Satu and his wives, Alabaster and Prince Mars, embarking on a journey to the land of water, Masa. It's the biggest city in the kingdom, though its vibe screams introverted recluse, as it's tucked away from the rest of the world. Upon their arrival, the group realizes Prince Mars is MIA, but they collectively shrug it off, assuming he has some super important princely errands to run in Masa. You know, like picking up milk or plotting a coup, normal royal stuff. Things get spicy fast when they bump into Saphir Masa, the maiden of the Kingdom of Water. Saphir wastes no time at all. After hearing Satu is the Ring King, she plants a kiss on him, declares them married, slaps a ring on his finger, and hands him the metaphorical and literal keys to the kingdom. Talk about speedrunning a relationship. Oh, and she casually drops that it's now his job to peacefully govern the land. No pressure, Satu, but you're basically a part-time monarch now. Enter Sluder Gizaras, the older brother of Mars and a war veteran who has apparently never lost a fight. Sluder catches wind of Satu's whirlwind marriage and calls them to the palace. You can practically hear him thinking, who is this guy? And why is he collecting wives like Pokemon cards? On the way to the palace, the group is treated to a majestic view view of the Yuyumasa Falls, a sight so stunning it could be a Windows wallpaper. They learn that beyond these waterfalls lies the ominous, long-gone land of Earth, now the domain of the Abyss King. Because nothing screams great vacation destination like a kingdom of evil lurking in the shadows. As they close in on the palace, things take a turn when a monstrous creature decides to crash the party. Naturally, Satu handles it with ease, flexing his Ring King powers and dispatching the beast like he's swatting a fly. Sluder, watching this unfold, has a light bulb moment. The Ring King isn't just some overhyped legend. This guy is the real deal. Once they arrive at the palace, the group meets Saphir's father, the elderly king of Masa, who seems way too into his oracle and her suspiciously on-point prophecies. Apparently, the oracle's predictions have been so accurate they've helped fend off monsters, so now she's practically the king's right-hand woman. As they delve deeper into the palace, Saphir introduces them to her twin sister, Saphira, who wastes no time making a terrific first impression by throwing a tantrum. Her complaint? Saphir could have married anyone and she chose Satu, poor guy. Our hero's ego takes a solid hit, because let's be honest, who wouldn't feel offended at being called plain in front of everyone? But fear not, Satu's wives are quick to rally behind him, with Hime stepping up as the MVP of moral support.
佐藤はかっこいいんだけど。
ありがとう、姫。
As the awkward tension thickens, Prince Marsa suddenly decides it's his moment to shine. After being quiet as a mouse the entire time, he jumps into the conversation, startling everyone like a random jump scare in a peaceful scene. He tells Saphira that he hasn't forgotten the promise he made her. Wait, what promise? Where's this hidden drama coming from? Saphira, not about to play along, coldly tells him she doesn't even want to hear his voice anymore before storming off. Naturally, Mars runs after her like a man chasing his last chance at redemption. The group is left in confused silence until Saphir steps in to spill the tea. Turns out, Mars and Saphira once swore their love for each other. She explains that long ago, the Gesara's empire wasn't content with their human territories and decided to invade Masa, the mystical land of water. However, the invasion flopped harder than a bad sequel, and when force didn't work, the empire turned to diplomacy. Enter Mars, the second prince of Gizaras, tasked with fostering friendship between the two nations. Somewhere along the line, he and Saphira grew closer, developing feelings for each other. But, plot twist, Mars's real mission was to spy on Masa's inner workings. To everyone's surprise, he never betrayed them, but he was eventually summoned back to the empire, leaving his vow to Saphira unfulfilled. And, to top it off, he never became the Ring King, which Saphira clearly hasn't forgiven him for. Meanwhile, outside, Mars catches up with Saphira and confesses that his feelings for her haven't changed. But she's not impressed and leaves him hanging out too dry, walking away. Meanwhile, on the shady side of the palace, the Oracle, clearly not a fan of democracy, orders her guards to assassinate the Ring King and snatch the rings for herself. The guards creep up on Satu, who's peacefully snoozing between his two wives like he's living the dream. But wait, where's Granart? Oh, don't worry about her. She's very much present, just outside, casually taking out the would-be assassins sneaking up on her husband. The next morning, our crew decides to embrace the calm before the inevitable storm by indulging in some good old-fashioned sunbathing. Satu, in particular, seems to be thriving as his wives playfully bicker over who gets to, well, ahem with him first. Talk about being the most wanted man in two worlds. Our guy is living a fantasy life that even he probably didn't see coming, while the ladies are busy enjoying their friendly rivalry.
今夜あたり
Satu strolls over to Prince Mars, who's staring off into the distance like he's auditioning for a melancholic music video. Curious, Satu asks why Mars stepped aside and let him take on the role of Ring King. Mars, clearly not in the mood for small talk, replies coldly that it was too much of a burden for him. But then, he softens slightly, confessing that when he first saw Crystal's love for Satu, he knew he couldn't stand in her way. Later that night, the Oracle delivers a cryptic warning to Mars. Masa is about to be attacked, and the only way to save face for not becoming the Ring King is to swipe the rings from Satu. Looks like Satu's got enemies on all sides, but hey, at least he's got a growing collection of wives and some solid waterfall views. Priorities, right? The Oracle, in peak manipulative villain mode, corners Prince Mars with an ultimatum: kill the Ring King. and he'll finally earn the Emperor's forgiveness and secure his chance to marry the woman he loves. At first, Mars isn't buying what the Oracle's selling, but she expertly twists the knife by reminding him of his biggest insecurity, his failure to become the Ring King. Ouch. As if that weren't enough, she brings up the whole Saphira dumped you like yesterday's leftovers situation, pushing him straight into villain territory. This guy's one emotional pep talk away from becoming a full-blown antagonist. To sweeten or darken the deal, she hands him a sinister sword that twists and distorts the flow of magic, assuring him that with this weapon, Satu won't stand a chance. The next morning, Mars is deep in contemplation, sitting on the edge of an existential crisis. He's hit with a flashback of a conversation with the Emperor, where he was basically branded a failure and told that proving his worth meant becoming the Ring King. Back in the present, he's still debating whether to follow through with this shady plan when the cursed sword suddenly starts glowing ominously. And just like that, Mars's internal struggle takes a hard left, almost like he's possessed. His eyes light up with grim determination, and it looks like the Oracle's words, coupled with the sword's influence, have finally pushed him over the edge. Meanwhile, Satu is busy doing what Satu does best, receiving kisses from his wives. Alabaster, the group's unofficial nerdy professor, explains that Satu's rings get stronger the more love he gets. So basically, his power-ups come with free smooches. Just as things are looking cozy, a monster from the abyss gate crashes their love fest. Oh, and surprise! Mars betrays Satu. Honestly, at this point, who isn't betraying Satu? Alabaster takes on the monster, while Satu has to deal with his old buddy Marse. But Satu, being the soft-hearted bro he is, tries to reason with him instead of throwing hands. He even lets Mars strike him with the magical sword, probably thinking, if I just stand here, maybe this betrayal phase will pass. And it does. Mars hesitates, realizes he doesn't actually want to stab his bestie, and starts crawling back toward the light. Satu, in full motivational speaker mode, hits Mars with a line that's low-key poetic. If you think you're worthless, I'll become your worth. Seriously, someone put that on a t-shirt. He then extends his hand to Mars, offering not just help, but a place in his squad, with a heartfelt invitation to join his party and save the world together. Before Mars can even process this grand gesture, Satu casually strikes the gem on his cursed sword like it's no big deal, shattering its dark influence. Mars's eyes clear up, and he's finally back to his old self. Talk about an ultimate friendship moment. Satu out here, not just defeating evil, but also handing out emotional healing like a pro. Meanwhile, chaos erupts on the other side as a hulking monster ambushes the girls and snatches Saphira, holding her hostage. Enter the Oracle, making her grand entrance at the battlefield, dripping with smug energy and bad intentions. She casually proposes a deal. Satu hands over the rings and she'll graciously let Saphira go. Just when you think things couldn't possibly get any worse, the Oracle decides to crank up the nightmare fuel and reveals her monstrous true form. Spoiler alert, it's horrifying. Saphir, witnessing this unholy transformation, wastes no time and bolts straight to Satu's side. With the power of the ring, she transforms into a majestic water dragon. Yes, a full-on dragon. Talk about leveling up. In her new form, she doesn't just defeat the monster, she absolutely obliterates it. As the dust settles, the King of Masa gives his royal blessing to Saphir, Saphira, and their respective marriages to Satu and Marse. It's a family reunion with a side of royal diplomacy. Meanwhile, the Oracle, realizing her evil plans are unraveling faster than her credibility, tries to convince the Emperor of the Imperial Court to back her up. Unfortunately for her, the Emperor decides she's more trouble than she's worth and promptly kills her. Satu wakes up surrounded by all his wives in what could be described as either the ultimate dream or the worst logistical nightmare. While he initially seems flustered, because honestly, who wouldn't be, he quickly grounds himself by remembering that Hime, his childhood sweetheart and most important partner, is his true focus. The chaos of the last few episodes has finally simmered down, leaving the kingdom of Masa basking in a rare moment of peace. With the immediate threats dealt with, Satu and his wives can finally take a well-deserved breather. or at least attempt to, given the inevitable shenanigans on the horizon. The next day, in a bid to reconnect with Hime, Satu decides it's time for a one-on-one date. And let's just say, this announcement doesn't exactly sit well with the other wives, Nephritis, Saphir, and Granart, who look like they're plotting a coup to win back his attention. They're practically oozing jealousy, but Satu, blissfully oblivious, has already set his sights on Hime. Before heading out, he makes the very relatable move of hitting up Alabaster for some spending money. Alabaster, perhaps the most pragmatic of the group, slips him some extra cash, cheekily implying that this date could go really well. A supportive wingman and a realist, Alabaster deserves a raise. The date begins as a sweet and romantic outing, with Satu and Hime exploring Masa's beautiful sights. However, their alone time is short-lived, as Nephritis, Saphir, and Granart can't resist their FOMO and decide to tail them like amateur spies. Their attempts to discreetly follow the couple are nothing short of comical, with the trio's jealousy and resentment bubbling under the surface. Eventually, they give up their surveillance mission and retreat to the castle in defeat, clearly still nursing their bruised egos. Hime, ever perceptive, catches sight of them skulking away, but wisely chooses not to confront them. She likely knows this drama is far from over and decides to enjoy her moment with Satu instead. As the date continues, Satu takes the opportunity to express his feelings, telling Hime that she's his number one and only girl. A sweet sentiment, sure, but also a dangerous line to drop when you've got 3 other wives vying for your attention. Hime, ever the grounded voice of reason, gently reminds Satu that his other wives are also playing a crucial role in their journey and deserve fairness. This moment of reality checking throws Satu into a brief sulk, but in true anime protagonist fashion, he turns the mood around with a bold move, a passionate kiss. Things seem to be heating up, and the couple even considers checking into a hotel for the night. But just as the moment reaches its peak, nerves and second thoughts get the better of them. Awkward and flustered, they opt to head back to the palace instead, leaving viewers wondering if Satu will ever figure out how to navigate this harem without stepping on someone's toes. The episode's final act shifts the focus back to their larger mission. The group departs from Masa and heads north toward the land of Earth in Danokan. This region, home to the dwarves, is nestled within the treacherous and imposing Kaugamika mountain range. As they ascend the Great Mountain Wall, the breathtaking views contrast with the harshness of the environment, hinting at the challenges that await. The capital of Indanokan, we learn, lies within these lofty heights, hidden in the heart of the rugged terrain. Satu and his ever-loyal entourage are trudging through the harsh and unforgiving Kaugamika mountain wall, heading toward the fabled land of Idanokan, aka the Land of Earth. The destination, a dwarven capital nestled high up in the mountains, which, you know, sounds all mystical and fantastic until you realize they're crossing a literal mountain wall. It's steep, it's exhausting, and Princess Saphir looks like she's about to fall flat on her face any minute. The poor girl's had it. You can almost hear her thinking, I signed up for royal life, not a mountain climbing expedition. After 2 solid days of non-stop trekking, because apparently this crew is built like endurance athletes, they finally reach Idanokan, only to find the place completely vaporized. The city is in ruins, and the dwarfs are nowhere to be found. It turns out the Abyss King has been playing the long game, constantly attacking the city until there was nothing left to defend. The dwarfs, ever the resourceful folk, packed up their high-tech gear and moved on, probably to somewhere that doesn't involve mountain climbing with a side of monster attacks. Naturally, the group decides to investigate the ruins, because what's a destroyed city without some cryptic treasure hunting, right? They stumble upon the castle, now more of a pile of rubble than a majestic building, and discover a fallen robot. But hold on, this is no ordinary pile of junk. This robot, sporting some serious Terminator vibes, suddenly springs to life and starts attacking Satu like it's auditioning for a role in a 90s action movie. But plot twist, the robot is possessed by the Abyss itself. Great, as if Satu didn't have enough to deal with already. Cue a full-on showdown where Satu does what he does best, swing his rings around and defeat the robot in typical I'm too cool for this fashion. But just as he's about to high-five himself for another victory, boom, the Abyss King rises like a villain straight out of a fantasy RPG, bringing with it an army of monsters eager to crash the party. There's no time to gloat though, as Alabaster, ever the tactician, gives the group the smartest advice they've heard all day: run. So naturally, everyone bolts like their lives depend on it, because, spoiler alert, they do. The group finally reaches what they hope is a safe zone, only to look ahead and realize they've just wandered into a horror movie. Monsters are pouring in like they're on a shopping spree, and it's all headed their way. Then, just to make things extra lovely, the Abyss King has been resurrected. Surprise! Who didn't see that one coming? Alabaster, not exactly jumping for joy, collapses to his knees, realizing that Satu can't unlock the true power of the Ring King without the last ring. Talk about a plot twist. But instead of throwing in the towel, Alabaster pulls out his inner hype man and declares they must still find the Ring of Earth before it's too late. And in the ultimate dad move, Gramps decides it's time to take action. He opens a gate for everyone, ensuring the Abyss King can't follow them. But plot twist, Gramps isn't going to leave without doing some fighting of his own. Enter Prince Mars, who steps in like the loyal sidekick and joins Gramps in holding down the fort while the rest of the group makes their escape. Satu and his harem are roaming around Earth trying to blend in and pick out clothes that scream totally normal human. The problem? Some of them have elf ears, others have horns, and then there are the cat ears. Blending in? Not exactly happening. Honestly, they're one pair of bat wings away from being mistaken for an off-duty cosplay group. But hey, at least Satu is trying. That's got to count for something, right? After their little fashion fiasco, the group chills at a cafe, eating lunch and having a deep philosophical discussion about how to return to Arnulis. You know, standard coffee table chatter. Back at home, Hime casually volunteers to crash at Satu's apartment. Meanwhile, the other three are taking over her place like it's a sleepover gone wild. While they're chatting, Satu awkwardly brings up the fact that Hime picked up the tab for everything today and he's clearly feeling like the broke boyfriend in a rom-com.
こちらに戻れば指輪王と先に進むという話はどうなった？
Hime brushes it off, revealing a more emotional tidbit. When they got back to Earth, she found a letter from her grandpa. In it, the old man told her to live a normal life and to let go of Arnulis. Easy for him to say, considering her normal life now involves rings, monsters, and Satu of all people. The next day, Satu and Crystal decide to embrace the normal life on Earth, throwing themselves into the thrilling world of high school. Yes, our hero and his princess are hitting the books again, and Crystal is thriving. She's practically glowing with joy at the prospect of a mundane life, even though it's just algebra and awkward lunch breaks. Days roll by, and everyone's settling into their own quirky routines. Nephritis has become a regular at the library, probably confusing the librarians with her over-the-top interest in Earth's history. Someone tell her Wikipedia exists. Granart, on the other hand, is out there living her best cat lady life, winning over every stray in the neighborhood. Seriously, it's like she's running a feline fan club now. Meanwhile, Saphir seems to be lost in the thought. The drama hits peak levels when Satu and Crystal sneak off for a midnight forest rendezvous. Turns out, Satu's been creeping into this forest at night like it's some kind of secret hideout. They find themselves back at the very spot where Satu first teleported to Arnulis. Hime pleads with him to let go of the other world and focus on building a life and happiness with her in this one. But of course, Satu looks like he's been hit by a truckload of doubt. Before things can get too deep or awkward, their little heart-to-heart is rudely interrupted when bam!
幸せになろう。
A mysterious woman materializes in the shrine like it's her grand entrance moment. Meet Amber, the ring princess of Idanoken. But wait, plot twist. Amber isn't just any ring princess, she's a robot. Yeah, you heard that right. Turns out the elves, in their last stand against the Abyss King's attacks, decided to YOLO their legacy into a robotic clone of their princess and handed her the ring. Amber lays down some heavy news. She's here to protect Satu as the Ring King. But Crystal isn't having it. She tries to convince Satu that it's time to hang up the hero cape and live a quiet life on Earth. Amber, unfazed, takes her leave, but not before telling Satu to seek her out if he ever changes his mind. The next day at dinner, the wives are chatting, and one casually brings up that Satu and Crystal wandered off to the forest earlier. Hime, in full damage control mode, lies, saying they just went to the convenience store. Later, when they're alone, Satu questions why she lied. Hime, clearly anxious, responds by asking him a loaded ultimate question. If they go back, does he truly believe he can defeat the Abyss King, even with all 5 rings? Satu, though, doesn't seem convinced by her doubts. The next morning on their way to school, Satu nearly jumps out of his skin when he spots someone lurking in the bushes. Surprise, it's Amber. She's taken her Protect the Ring King job quite literally and insists she needs to stay close to him. Later that night, Satu sneaks off to the forest where Amber first appeared. Amber tells him she has the power to return him to Arnulus, dropping yet another bombshell. By the next school day, Amber is now full-on shadowing Satu like his robotic bodyguard. She asks him if he really wants to go back to Arnulus, to which Satu hesitantly replies that it's his intention. However, seeing Hime's worried expression has him second-guessing everything. Amber assures him that the power of the rings is absolute and that he will be able to seal the Abyss King. Eventually, Satu asks for the Ring of Earth and Amber, without hesitation, grants it to him. Back at home, Satu walks into the house only to find Hime in tears. She hugs him tightly, explaining that she just misses her grandpa. But her mood quickly shifts when she notices Satu now has all 5 rings. Immediately suspicious, she asks him what's going on, and Satu bluntly replies that they're going back to Arnulus. Hime, understandably upset, breaks down, pleading with him not to go. She fears it's far too dangerous and that she can't bear to lose him. But Satu, driven and determined, manages to talk her into it. It's clear that he's not one to back down, not even for love. Then comes the cherry on top of this episode. Satu and Crystal are about to have their big moment. It's steamy, it's romantic.
なんか抜け駆けみたいになっちゃったね。
And then, bam, Amber interrupts like the ultimate third wheel, announcing that the teleportation device is ready to send them back to Arnulus. And just to really amp up the awkwardness, Granart shows up with the rest of the ring princesses in tow. Nothing kills the mood like a full entourage barging in. As the episode wraps up, the group is prepped and ready to leave Earth behind and return to Arnulus. Because who needs normalcy when you can have interdimensional chaos? Episode 12 kicks off with a dramatic teleportation back to Arnulus, because clearly, nothing screams welcome home like stumbling across creepy creatures and the corpses of Imperial soldiers. Talk about setting the tone for your day. Just as things couldn't get any worse, the Abyss King decides to make his grand, sinister entrance. As Satu steps forward to face the Abyss King, he looks every bit the hero. Radiating confidence, 5 rings of ultimate power, and oh wait, there's a lipstick smudge from Hime's good luck kiss. Classic. With his wives cheering him on like it's the Super Bowl, Satu channels the power of the 5 rings. And just when you think it couldn't get cooler, the rings literally merge into one mega ring, dripping with immense power. Wielding this ultimate energy, Satu goes full anime protagonist, delivering a single, earth-shattering slash that obliterates every monster in sight. The Abyss King, reduced to a pile of, wait a second, is that his other half still standing there? Yeah, turns out the power of 5 rings isn't quite as Abyss King-proof as advertised. Cue Satu's face switching from I'm him to I'm in trouble real quick. Before Satu can even process how his big hero moment got cut short, the Abyss King decides to make things worse by charging up an attack. Our guy is down bad, literally. He collapses, drained of all energy, leaving his wives to have a collective panic attack. Granart, being the resident action queen, doesn't waste time. She declares that she's grabbing Satu and booking it. But before Granart can swoop in, the Abyss King makes it known he's not going down quietly. Granart lands a bold strike with her sword, but the dude doesn't even flinch. Instead, he calls in reinforcements, monsters upon monsters. It's like a Black Friday sale for evil minions, and Granart and Amber suddenly find themselves in a losing battle. Amber's firing off attacks like she's in a video game, and Granart swinging her blade like her life depends on it, because it literally does. But the numbers game is not in their favor. Meanwhile, Satu's over there in the dirt, looking like he just lost a fight with gravity. He tries, to get up, but his body says, nah, we're clocking out, and he passes out cold. The scene opens with what seems like the perfect fairy tale ending. Satu and Hime are getting married. The sun is shining, birds are chirping, and Hime's wedding dress is so sparkly it's practically blinding. But just as Satu leans in for the kiss, bam.
互いを愛し、敬い、慈しむことを誓いますか?
he's suddenly being choked by a horrifying, monstrous Abyss King. Classic bait and switch, folks. Turns out it's all a dream. Satu bolts awake, gasping for air, only to realize he's riding on top of a giant bird. Yep, you heard that right, a giant bird. For a moment, Satu genuinely believes he's dead, probably expecting some kind of hero's afterlife with unlimited ramen and no taxes. But his existential crisis is interrupted when Alabaster, sitting beside him, casually hits him with, "You're alive, my dude." Talk about killing the vibe. Satu blinks in confusion, taking in the sight of not just Alabaster, but all his wives and even Saphira. At this point, he's probably wondering if he's in a really weird sequel to his dream. Alabaster fills in the blanks. Turns out, while Satu was busy playing hero and passing out like a dramatic protagonist, Saphira swooped in to help Prince Mars and Alabaster fend off the monsters. And just when things were looking dicey, she managed to arrive in time to save Satu too. So yeah, it's a whole team effort situation. Before Satu can start sulking about how he technically didn't finish the job, Alabaster delivers some good news. He points out that Satu's attack did weaken the Abyss King's power significantly, which gave them a window to escape. Alabaster doesn't stop there though. He casually drops a bombshell about how monster attacks are increasing across the kingdoms. Great, just what Satu needed to hear after being manhandled by the Abyss King. Someone get this. Guy a morale boost and maybe a drink. Later, when they land, the group finally confronts Alabaster. Satu, still licking his wounds, figuratively thank goodness, wonders why he couldn't defeat the Abyss King even with all 5 rings, to which Alabaster says that, "Bro, it's not about the rings, it's about the friends you made along the way." Okay, he phrases it more poetically, but that's the gist of it. Satu needs to draw strength from his relationships with his wives because clearly, being the Ring King also comes with a side of marriage counseling. Apart from this, all the wives will need to fight alongside Satu, and in order to reach the best of their abilities, they will need to start training. In a quieter moment, Hime takes Satu to her parents' grave. It's a heartfelt scene as she reveals that her parents sacrificed themselves to save her when she was just a little girl. Oh, and she casually mentions having a long-lost younger sister. As the season nears its end, Alabaster shows up again. Seriously, this man loves a dramatic entrance to announce that he's chosen someone to train Hime. Cue the grand reveal. Hime's younger sister, Morian Ravri no Kanataka. She sweeps in like a late-season plot twist, and the episode fades to black, leaving us all screaming at the screen. What's her deal? Can Satu finally take down the Abyss King? And most importantly, how does Satu keep finding himself surrounded by so many women?